you're not even going to show the whole. Yes, well, that's a good reveal because, as you have probably aware from the thumb, we have a very special guest today, and are we going to misdirect them as to who the guest is and say, oh yeah, no, actually, today we've got former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull on, and then surprise, we'll just move out. Just move the camera. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. It's Andrew Hamilton, as seen on the project.
Fuck yeah.
Mr. Hamilton.
Welcome.
There he is, in all his glory. No, he's gone. It's me.
I thought you were going to say Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah, no, you know what was amazing? Yeah. This was so good. When you came in, Miss Love was saying, oh, for fuck's sake. And he thought because your name is Andrew Hamilton, he thought that you were going to be in the musical Alexander Hamilton.
I thought,
and so he was like, he was dreading you coming in.
From musical?
Yeah, he thought you were going from musical.
I'm so dumb that like our producer emailed me and I just saw the word Hamilton and I was just like, what is the guy who's in Hamilton's coming? I'm like, well, I'm gonna have nothing in common with this.
It's so good as well because that guy's been dead for like 300 years.
That's on
it would be a great guess, and you would be insane to turn him down.
Let you down. I mean, he was
No. You're an improvement, bro.
No, you didn't let him down. That's the ironic thing.
I'm stoked now.
You should have let him down, but you didn't.
I mean, I've seen that musical and I hated it. I thought it sucked. I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And Alexander Hamilton sounded like he was a bit of a knob.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen it.
Philandering. And then he suggested some stupid duel based on some kind of honor code, and then he got shot and killed like a dick.
Yeah.
Wait, and that was the musical, that guy?
Yeah.
The guy that lost?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I believe that. Thanks for
you guys
filling
seen
me in
the
on
musical?
that.
Don't say it.
I haven't. Look, I started watching. I know, like vaguely the original story, or whatever. But I started watching some of the musical, like kind of as a joke, and I thought it was. I thought it was really funny for a while, but then even then I was like, that's enough. Like 15 minutes.
No, dude, there's a lot of pandering in that. Alexander Hamilton's story is cool. There's no doubt about it, but they have wrecked it. They made it about like women's empowerment and stuff. Like, well, he didn't care about any of that.
Oh my
It's like
God.
mostly a black cast rapping about a piece of mainly white history, and it was written by like a gay Puerto Rican dude.
Who inserted himself as Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah, it's strange, but so basically you're a huge improvement.
You're a massive improvement, but your name has been permanently sullied in Miss Love's mind. That's all.
Me, this man you've never heard of.
I'm working hard, to be the more famous one.
Fucking oath, definitely. Dude.
You do need to reclaim that name. It's like, because it's an immediate, that, and then the other thing I think about your name every time is just like, okay, a mildly successful real estate agency. That's what I think. Do you reckon? Like Andrew Hamilton and Associates. Do you reckon?
That's not bad, yeah.
Do you reckon?
I think there's like a short, fat comedian from the UK named Andy Hamilton.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I think... And
the English guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I Googled you, he came up first. I was like, hello. And I'm like, fuck, I hope
This
it's
is going to be a good time.
He would have actually been a better guest.
Yeah. But the only question
we could... cultural observations about Leeds.
Yeah, I was going to say, the only question you could ask that man is like, why do you love Newcastle? The place in England. He'd be like, well, I can rattle on about that forever, I assume,
So what he's saying is you rank somewhere in the middle of all the Hamiltons that could have been there. I mean, it's not terrible. Let's put it that way.
It's also a ballsy thing for me to say to like an ex-felon so brazenly.
Yeah. I'm disappointed in
I
you.
wasn't a violent fella.
No, I know. No, I know. I know your whole story.
actually-
I've looked you up in your file.
I wanna actually ask a few questions because usually when you ask guests their life story, it's very boring. It's usually now that is the most interesting. But I think in your case, we actually should do a little biographical deep search. Did you grow up in Sydney?
I grew up in Hornsby. Yes.
North Shore. I grew up in Lane Cove, bro.
Yes. I went to school in Riverview.
You went to Riverview?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Half of my mates went to Riverview. I went, St. Michael's Primary?
Yeah.
I went there.
It's
So,
like the starter pack for Riverview.
oh yeah, I got to.
Yeah, move your cup. Move back
Sorry.
closer.
Yeah.
Every
exactly.
time you speak to Miss Love, it's going to be annoying.
Yeah, sorry, bro. But, that's so funny. All my mates went to Riverview, but my parents, like, pretended to be rich, so I didn't go to Riverview. But that's so funny you went to Riverview.
Was Hornsby a rough area when you grew up? How old are you?
No
I
way.
am 38 now.
Okay.
So, I mean, Not really.
Okay.
Compared to like out west, Mount Druitt or something.
Well,
we
no,
thought
nothing.
we were hard. We thought it was rough at the time, but when you
That's a bit too
when you
rough.
get up and you hear about other suburbs, you're like, actually, no, it was fine.
Yeah.
Just a couple of guys agreed to meet at the Hornsby water fountain for a fight. Like, that was
Yeah.
That's like classic. Yeah.
Comparatively, you were hard to the rest of North Sydney.
Yeah. The North Shore, yeah. I mean, even in Lane Cove, there was like people trying to be lads, and it's like, dude.
Yeah.
Like in Longueville?
The main gag growing up was a bunch of like guys who I knew that called themselves the GFF, which was the Gordon Freedom Fighters.
What?
Yeah, that was the gang.
That's
the
amazing.
Gordon Freedom
Do you know the suburb Gordon?
Yeah, I know the suburb Gordon.
the name says it all. Doesn't
Yeah,
it?
I understand.
GFF.
And I don't think they ever fought for freedom. They just went to like house parties and bashed people.
That's a kind of freedom.
That's freedom. It is freedom. Yeah, do what you want.
It's a freedom many long for.
That's funny, bro.
And then there was another gang that were created it was like an offshoot of the GFF, which was the LBC.
Lane Cove Boys?
Which was the Little Brothers crew.
Oh.
And that was the little brother of the guy who was the head of the GFF. And so...
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And then there was the HBP, which was the Hamos Boys Posse, which was my guys.
Hectic.
Which was a fake gang.
You rolled with them.
It was a
Fake gang.
that we made up.
How was it fake? What do you mean?
They're all
how do you make a fake gang? Yeah.
I just would
don't
say...
knock the... I'll fucking tell them.
Yeah.
I'll tell them you said that.
I just tell guys because when I went to this private school, right, I still had ties to the guys in Hornsby I grew up with that like private school boys were afraid of. So we spread this rumor that I like had a gang running with like the North Shore boys from Hornsby called HBP, which was the Hamos Boys Posse, which was like a non-existent gang that scared people.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
And this was the rich gang culture. So your Crips and Bloods was just like a bunch of dickheads and then their little brothers.
Yep.
And this was the big divide of your...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they would just go to parties and pick fights and steal people's mobile phones. That was basically that.
Hard as fuck.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
good.
I mean, you do need those in every suburban tapestry. Needs to be some
I
of them.
remember in Lane Cove there was like, they used to have like certain like, the kids from Lane Cove Public would fight with the kids from Chatswood Public, and they'd bring those like trolley poles.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
They do hurt to get hit with.
they
but,
fucking
like,
oath, yeah. But crazy, yeah. Suburban kids still need a fight.
They do.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, you don't have to. It's not a requirement of every
He
suburb.
raises a good point, actually. We're
Yeah,
sitting there
I
just
suppose.
being like, yeah, this is just part of the natural ecosystem.
seems like
You've got to
they
bash
need to
someone and
fight.
take their wallet, obviously.
Seems
yeah.
like it.
So, yeah, grew up in Hornsby, had a pretty good time, and then went to school in Lane Cove, and then went to uni in Bathurst, and then came back and...
Why in Bathurst?
You were doing media, hey?
Yeah, I studied
Yep.
public relations and media.
Yep,
at
the
Charles
classic.
Sturt. But
I mean, why does anyone else go there for what? Nursing.
Yeah, they've got like a good journalism school there.
Yeah, it's all media stuff. That's it.
Yeah. Then they had like nurse paramedics.
Mm.
That was about it, I think.
Yeah.
And
It's not a uni,
I had
is
a
it?
great
It's-
time there. It was amazing. I went to there because I was getting in a bit of trouble in Sydney, and I was like, I need to go. My mate was at Bathurst, and he was like, dude, this is the best uni ever. You got to come here. And so I got stoned and scrolled through the list of subjects and randomly picked public relations, and I was like, I'll just go do that. And so,
Did you care about what that meant?
well, once I read more about it, I was like, actually, this is perfect for me. And so then I was like glad that I randomly stumbled upon it, and
Oh, so you learned things at it.
I was good at it, and I was interested in it, and so that was what I ended
Wow,
up.
that's amazing. It's really not the millennial experience of going to university, is it? It's like you actually enjoyed it
But, you know,
and
this
liked
is-
it and didn't feel ripped off.
This is the difference between going to uni, which is where you've lived. So we went to UNSW, and when you go to a UNSW and you've lived in Sydney, uni isn't much of an experience. You just go there for your classes and you continue to hang out with your mates who you've been hanging out with all your life.
Yes.
But if you go to a different town, you got to make an ecosystem. It becomes way more fulfilling.
I lived on campus for 3 years, and it was exactly like what you see in any frat movie from the States. It was just co-ed, living on campus,
Yeah.
drinking, partying, sex, and then when you had some spare time, you might go to a lecture.
Such
But they don't show that part, yeah.
such a superior experience.
So much. I would recommend. It is, man.
Yeah.
It really is. I would recommend to anyone go to a regional university, live on
Totally.
campus.
Yeah, that's the right way to do it.
It was 3 of the best years of my life.
That's sick. I had mates that went to Bathurst too, and they fucking loved it. So like, I think you're right. I went to Macquarie, and that was the same as you're just a fucking number. Like you just go in there, you're
not out of your comfort zone at all. You're just still hanging out with the exact same friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I met all these new people, but I mean, it was pretty much like just a outpost of Sydney. Most people living on campus were from Sydney.
Oh, sick.
But,
Okay, that would actually make it better.
Yeah,
it's fun to get.
You want to mix?
Yeah,
but yeah, I had the best time ever. I didn't get much studying done, but.
That's not the point.
No one does. Dude. Like my 3 years of uni is literally just being at Jordan's house, the now infamous house that got burnt down.
Yes.
And smoking up and talking about conspiracy. 3 years of uni.
It also sounds fun though.
I mean, it was
at
fun.
least we were doing research, you know.
Yeah,
we kind of were studying in some way.
Yes.
I got a fake degree out of it though, because I was like on my final year and I was close to graduating. But then my lecturer recommended me for a job, and I did the interviews and got the job, and so I just stopped. I didn't finish the last subjects and never got the degree, and so then I just put on LinkedIn that I had a degree, and no one ever asked to see it.
No one cares.
Dude,
Yeah,
that's amazing. You don't even need to finish. That's sick.
What a hex discount you got out of
When
your
you think
degree.
about it, like how often do you get asked to actually show your degree? I was like,
It's true.
You could just write it on there.
You actually never asked.
No, well,
No.
it depends on what degree you do. If you do like a really specialized
Yeah.
field,
What do you mean arts? I have an arts degree. That's special.
yeah, no one's gonna ask you for
The only
that.
time I got asked was through a recruiter for like just like some random project, and they were like, okay, just for a final bit of paperwork, when you need to see a copy of your degree, and I just didn't reply, and just took another job.
Yeah, good call. Because they weren't even going to use
okay.
that degree. They were only going to use it in case you get hired at some government institution.
Yeah.
And they require it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But it's a bit like, when like, remember Belle Gibson when she like was just convincing everyone that she had brain cancer when the whole like,
yeah.
and like you're like, how did no one catch this? Because if once you trick the first person, everyone just assumes. I think like that's the same with having a fake degree. It's like if you can get past the first job, right? Once you're a couple of jobs in, no one's like, hold on, let's go back to like 4 years ago. Like, can we just see a copy of your degree?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, thank you for giving us all of these tips on how to scam society.
No, I wish.
I've got heaps more. Do you want more?
Yeah, fucking oath.
Here's one.
Here's one.
When you're under house arrest, like I was, you can get Centrelink and you don't have to apply for any jobs because you're under house arrest.
That does sound
That
pretty
is
nice.
an amazing scam.
That is nice.
What a hack.
Holy hell. You are living most of our friends' dreams, you know? An
My
endless
dream, for
supply of acid, never having to leave your house, Centrelink for life.
Wait. Let's rewind a little bit. So you've just finished uni, as in like, you're done with that.
Yeah.
How do you get involved in what will lead to your incarceration?
I went to Thailand when I was at uni, and I went to Copenhagen, and I tried magic mushrooms at Mushroom Mountain, and I had such a good time. I came back to Sydney and told my mate how good they were, and he started researching how to grow them, and he bought some spores from Amsterdam or something, and grew a bunch of different strains. And then I just used my mates as guinea pigs at uni, and we all ate mushrooms and figured out which ones were the best ones, and that was gold tops, golden teachers, they're known as, cubensis,
teachers.
for any Latin nerds. And so I just started growing. We started growing them and eating them and giving them to friends and friends of friends, and that just became a bit of a side hustle, selling them to friends. And they taste like shit.
Wait, one question before we get into can't you die from that? Like if you eat the wrong mushroom?
Well, you can if you eat like death cap mushrooms or something like that. But when you're buying spores and they're like off sites, like psychedelic ones, you can't die from them.
Okay.
Be a pretty bad business model, right? But, obviously, if you go picking and you pick the wrong mushrooms, like that, the beef Wellington lady, they can.
Well, she did that on
yeah.
purpose.
Yeah. But like, if you go,
fuck.
there are certainly absolutely ones you can go find, and that's why. When some people complained about the prices of my mushrooms, I'm like, you're welcome to go pick them yourself.
Dude, I almost died.
That's awesome. What a
I almost
response.
died. His friend who was their high school mate, who I didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
He said, "Let's go mushroom hunting." So we started picking mushrooms, and then he kept some, and I kept some. I didn't eat any. I was about to, but I was like, "I'll do it tomorrow." He calls me the next day. He's like, "Don't eat any of those." I was like, "Why?" He's like, "I got it wrong. We picked the poisonous ones."
And he nearly ate it.
Dude, like you would have killed me, you dickhead.
Now, you know what was worse? There was guys in the Blue Mountains that we know that used to always say, just go out, eat some mushrooms until you get high. That is what they do. That's what they do. So, they took your advice. They were just like, fuck you, you're overcharging. I'm going myself.
But this is why you need to go to a quality, reputable dealer. Because, do you want to risk death?
Some people do.
I still get messages now. You see there's stories in the news right now about cocaine being laced with like heroin and fucking whatever that's killing people. And I'm like, see, there's always some bad operators out there. But I get messages from people now like, fuck, we miss you, man. I can't get good gear ever since you got locked up. And it hurts to see those messages because sometimes the cops lock up the good guys, you know?
Exactly.
I can't tell. Your like sarcastic straight face humor is getting too much. Where I'm like, wait, is he serious right now?
I am partly joking.
He's partly serious.
Yeah,
He's partly serious.
Well, I'm
Partly,
happy
but
you
like
take,
there's a
God's
kernel of
work.
truth in every joke. You
you
know?
take pride in your work.
I was just trying to help people have good parties and go to music festivals and go on camping trips. And, I didn't really feel like there was anything particularly wrong with what I was doing.
I feel like
Wait, so
psychedelics,
you come back from Thailand and you're experimenting it.
We grew them. We grew these mushrooms, and they're like these fat, wet mushrooms. And so you try and eat them at a party, and it was like it was difficult because that's all right. And
They're going to yell at me in the comments if I don't.
So we'd have these mushrooms in a party, but they taste like shit, and it was big. So you'd have to like eat half a jar of peanut butter just to get the mushroom down. And so I was like, there's got to be a better way. And so I figured out.
You're a chemist. This is incredible. This
Jeff
is a
Bezos.
daytime ad for like a supplement. It's amazing. Yeah.
So then we dehydrated the mushrooms, got all the water out of it, and then we put them in a blender, blended up into a fine powder, and then capped them. And then we had mushroom caps.
Yes.
Wait, hang on. Are you saying that you invented mushroom caps?
I'm sure it existed before, but I was the one that made it mainstream in Sydney.
Are you kidding?
What year is this?
I've probably eaten some of your
18
Man,
years
go
ago.
out, forage in the forest, eat one of those death caps. You're done. Like you can't. You've got your claim to fame.
Yeah.
You've done something to society. That's incredible. Like
That's
they
sick.
didn't exist before. That's
This is about
amazing.
This is about 18 years ago. That would
Oh
happen.
wow, you
Oh
might
my
have
God.
actually invented this then.
Holy shit.
So
You proud of that?
Am I proud of it?
Yeah. I mean, like seriously, you are a chemist. So I was joking before. I'm not joking now.
My friend is the chemist. He was the one that figured out how to make the mushrooms good. I just figured out a better way to sell them.
Okay, right, yeah.
So,
Salesman. Nice.
so we worked very well as a team. But his job was the one to make the mushrooms potent and to figure out ways to scale the business from growing it in his cupboard to then like a whole underground lair that was probably the size of this room.
Where was this underground lair?
Well, it was somewhere in Sydney. I can't really say. But it was.
God, I wish I knew something about it though. Like, so it was an underground lair, like you had in Breaking Bad. You know, like you just went into a chicken shop and like
you would never find it if you went to his house. No.
incredible.
Yeah. It was
Isn't that
behind, like, a
amazing?
secret door and stuff like that.
Wow.
And so
And how do you grow them? Do you just for pure entertainment purposes?
it was like
darkness,
a
right?
whole room that was like just a giant incubator with humidifiers everywhere, just like a thick, warm mist in the whole room, just for the perfect conditions for the mushrooms to grow.
Wow, so you made some little Mars colony bubble for them.
Totally, yeah.
Wow.
And it was big, and so by the end, we
God, no wonder people miss you.
Yeah, well, that was a mushroom.
He's a
thing.
fucking Heisenberg. He is. It's amazing. Yeah.
But we had these mushroom caps, and then that was so good because it made it very easy for me to sell them because I knew that it was exactly 1 gram in every cap, so I could
Yes.
sell them fast, and then also it got past the taste issue, and so over the course of many years, that went from just a little side hustle, and like it would go through like peaks and troughs where it would be popular over summer when people went on like camping trips and
Yes,
stuff
yes.
like that. But then it would be really quiet during winter, except for a huge spike during Vivid when everyone wanted to go.
That's funny.
That's gold.
But then over the course of years, that went from like just a spike of a Vivid to being busy like pretty much all the time. And so like there were times when I would come back to my house like towards the end before I got arrested where I'd have like maybe 1,200, 1,500 mushroom caps, and I could sell them all within maybe an hour.
Shit.
As soon as I told the message went out that they were available, I'd have them all sold. And that would be a whole bunch.
Wait, so what are you messaging on?
Just like WhatsApp.
An app?
I was on like Telegram. I was on fucking Wicker, just on all the encrypted platforms. And
That's
so,
sick.
yeah, they'd just come and be cleaned out, and I'd make like, I don't know, 30 grand in an hour.
Okay, so at your peak, when everything's going well,
business.
and you feel like Escobar,
Yeah.
how much are you earning?
I think on a bad week, I was maybe making like 30 grand a week.
Oh my lord!
But like around
Bro.
Christmas and stuff,
And
it was
like
like
what,
80.
15 years ago too.
No, so that it only really started to peak in the last like 3 or 4 years of it.
Oh, okay,
so
okay.
I got arrested like 3 years ago. So it was like 3 years ago to 8 years ago was like.
But that's like insane amounts of money. How do you? Okay, what are you thinking? Not how you are now, what you were then. You're getting a lot of this money. Are you thinking like maybe I should hide this money? Maybe I shouldn't like spend it. Like, what am I supposed to do with this money?
I was thinking, let's get fucked up. I was just like, what's something really stupid we can do with this? So I'd like buy some $5,000 sneakers. I'd take my girlfriend out for a fucking $5,000 dinner for some reason. We'd buy bottles of Cristal.
Oh, no, there's
I'd
a
do-
reason for that.
I'd do
That's
10
sick.
10
And you're keeping it
Coke.
all in cash.
Well, yeah, I mean, by the end, I opened like a restaurant. I had a pizza shop that I put like $500,000 into.
Where was that?
In King's Cross.
Oh, okay.
Wait, so that's like a Breaking Bad, like the chicken shop kind of
Kind of
operation?
thing like that, yeah.
I thought
so-
I only asked because I was like, it wasn't Via Napoli, was it? You know, there's the one in
No,
fucking.
but that was a good restaurant. But no, like,
That's also a drug front. Yeah.
No, but I think it actually is. I think that guy's quite dodgy.
Don't try the mushrooms. Yeah.
I think most restaurants that are successful must come from drug money or some kind of crime money because
That's what you start to realize once you get into this world, aren't you? It's like there's a lot of people in Bellevue Hill that are there for less than scrupulous
Yes.
reasons.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Well, with restaurants, like I believe you have to run at a loss for a couple of years before it turns a profit. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, easy.
How else are you doing?
yeah, how much money do you need to pump in there, and where does that money come from? I think it's all from dodgy shit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
As soon as I went to prison, all the bikies in there were like, "Why were you doing that as a money laundering operation? There's much cheaper ways." So like, you can open a hair salon. You just say you did 200 wash and dries today. You just pour the shampoo and conditioner down the drain. Like, that's a much easier way to launder money.
Holy
than to open a
shit.
restaurant.
I mean, they're not wrong. It does sound a lot better.
Yeah, it's way
Yeah.
cheaper.
Great for the environment too.
Just get your girlfriend a job running a salon. They feel important, and you know, you just go in there and cook the books.
You
And
can get the
it's fine.
environmentally friendly shampoos. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm sure you could be getting that in the 90s. Yeah.
You know, doggy daycare would
So
be
it's
a
a
great one. You just say
doggy
you babysat 200 dogs that day.
But you're like you're running the pizza shop, but you're having fun. Life is really
I liked
good.
pizza. I wanted to open it because I
yeah.
was like, I think I could do well with this business.
Wait, so you were actually passionate about the pizza as well?
Yeah, I wasn't just in it for money laundering. I was in it because I had so much money, and I was like, what's something stupid I could do with it? And I was
Dude,
like,
that's such a good sentence. Usually people say, I wasn't in it just for the money. I've never heard, I wasn't just in it for the money laundering.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Fucking gold.
Also, what a
I have
wholesome.
many passions.
you can still have pride in your business.
Of course. Of course.
But what a wholesome dealer too. Just like if my dealer was saying, "I'm passionate about pizzas. I want to
I mean,
open
we've
be like, dude,
also
we could be
both-
friends."
We've also both in prior lives run restaurants. So
Yeah,
been business, like literally running a business of restaurants. He had one in Sydney, I had one in the mountains, and it's fucking hard yakka.
It is hard. It was much harder than the drug dealing.
I bet, yeah.
It's managing all the
Small
people involved.
margins. This is
And
when
do you
you
think that the drug business helped you with the legitimate business in terms of business acumen?
I think there's definitely transferable skills.
Everyone's sick. That's what I wanted to hear. That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
So do you think that it started turning a profit on itself outright after a while?
It would have if it wasn't for COVID.
Yes. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
It got
yeah.
fucked
every
by-
small
it got
businessman.
fucked by COVID and also
Seriously.
my arrest, which meant I wasn't able to pump it full of dirty cash anymore to keep it afloat.
Right.
So
Yes.
What was the name of the pizza place?
it's called Brooklyn Crispy.
Oh, cool.
And I invented the idea of nutritionally approved pizzas for dogs. We had dog pizzas on the menu, and so all the media coverage we were getting was all about that.
Shit.
So
The PR worked a treat for him as well. He actually used his degree.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, there
Yeah.
you go.
That's a very smart move.
Well, I worked in
Absolutely
PR.
something that 10 First at 5 would want to cover.
I was a director at the world's biggest PR agency for a few years, and I worked in crisis management and stuff like that, which I think is
Really?
yeah.
Whoa, dude, that's impressive.
How old were you then? Like 19 or something?
I think I started working there when I was like 26, and I was account director by 27. And then I got an award from B&T magazine for the top 30 under 30 people in PR and marketing in Australia. And then by 30, I was kind of like burned out in the cokehead, and then
Like everyone in PR.
by like 32, I'd quit PR and was just a full-time drug dealer.
Okay.
Yeah, you made your side hustle your real thing.
Well, the thing is, even when I was working in PR, I was making 5 times more from drugs, but I was only mainly working in PR because I needed something to do during the day, and I needed some kind of mental stimulation. Because
Could probably.
you know.
Well, you could have gone the original drug dealer route and just get like a PlayStation 5, you know?
Yeah, and that's what I ended up doing. That's what I did do in the end. You know? But I tried to fight that off for a few years.
It is pretty amazing.
I was like, don't become a cliche, Howard. Yeah, it was weird to be doing working 40 hours a week in like a very high pressure job just to fucking have something to do. And
Yes.
yeah.
That's like very Larry David working in a car sales. He's selling cars, and it's just like, what are you doing this for? It's like, I'm selling this car, you know, like that's funny.
Wait, so what are you thinking at this point? Are you thinking like you're gonna make enough and then get out of it, or you're saying
Yeah,
let's
I
see
think
how?
by the end when I opened the restaurant, in my head I was going to open 5 restaurants, kind of start to franchise it, and then I would quit drug dealing, and that would be enough money to sustain it. But I think now, upon reflection, I think I would have got to 5 and been like, let's do 10. You know, I think
Of course.
agreed would have continued.
Right.
Yes, always.
You always come up with an excuse for why. Because you think you're too smart and you're arrogant and you just think you're never going to get caught. And so you just like let the good times roll. And, you know, the money's just, you know, it's hard to believe that I ever would have actively stopped.
Yeah, totally.
Damn.
It's
Now,
like you
what
get
about this
high
though?
from the
Did you have a
chase.
plan B? Did you have that country that you thought like, this all goes belly up? I'm going to Winnebago.
No, I think I thought if the cops ever raided my house that I wasn't going to have too much in the house, or I would have time to like fucking flush or get rid of it, or I just thought that I wouldn't be. I thought that I wouldn't get caught, or if I got caught, they wouldn't get me for much.
Okay.
And so the day that they raided my house, I did have a stash house that I kept a lot of stuff in, but I was so coked up that I couldn't be bothered going back and forth. So I brought over too much to the house. And then,
Oh no!
And is that how they got you? They didn't get you on the stash house or anything like that. It's just you had too much at your house.
They didn't get anyone else that was associated with me. They just got me at my house.
Wait, so they were waiting on an opportunity for it to get to your house?
Well,
Who's the rat?
My ex-fiance had a psychosis on cocaine and ran off with about 30 grand of my cash and a bunch of drugs, and told him that I was a drug dealer when she got picked up by the cops freaking out in the park. And yes, so
Loose
then
lips, man.
they raided the house. So it wasn't what I would say an extensive investigation. When you think he might be, no, I was like, hey, this is what he's doing. Here's 30 grand cash and some drugs from his house.
It's always a chick, mate. It's always a bloody
Yeah,
chick.
buddy, can't trust him, mate.
That's the lesson of this pod. That is unlucky. That's unlucky.
But that's how they get everyone, by the way. It's like not even a joke.
I was having a beer with a few bikies that came to one of my shows, and I was telling them that, and one of them tapped the other one, was like, see, mate, that's why you don't tell them anything. And so I was like,
Damn.
There you go.
there we go. So
So the wisdom is passed down each Comanchero generation. They accumulate.
yeah.
Well, it was amazing that the fact that you do go to prison and then everybody sits there and exchanges money laundering tips.
Yeah.
So what the fuck? Because like I knew somebody that went to prison once, and he said, like Chopper was right when he said, "There's no criminal masterminds in prison." But it sounds like there is.
I don't think, I wouldn't agree with that. I think there definitely are.
There's criminal masterminds. How many of them are dead shits, and how many of them are like, on the level?
Most of them are dead shits.
Most of them are dead
Most
shits.
of them are dead shits. It's like it's drug addicts doing some really low common denominator crimes just to feed their addictions or stuff like that. But there are senior crims, right, that have been running very sophisticated operations that got snitched on by one of their mates. But like other than that, they were fucking running. They were running a tight operation, and they had no chance of getting caught otherwise. And they've been doing it for 20 years. You got
Did you
stuff like
resonate
that.
with them?
Yeah.
So you hung out with these guys?
Yeah, so there's a lot of those guys, and I think that they like me because they could see that I was educated, and also that everyone thought it was hilarious that I was in there for mushrooms, because it wasn't like...
Dude,
It's a very gentle thing,
I'll be honest,
isn't it?
I'll be honest. When I heard that you'd been, because I'd read, doing research and stuff. And then when I found out that it was like mushrooms and acid, I swear to God, I said to these guys, I'm like, but they're not illegal. Dude, I didn't think shrooms were illegal. I thought it would be like a
How can it be illegal if it's from the earth, man?
I actually think
such
that.
hippie
Class A, man.
views.
Hey?
Class A drug.
Of course it is. Yeah, but what did you think, Biz?
It's a fucking mushroom. It
Class
can't.
A. I got done, 2 large commercial drug supply charges, Class A, magic mushrooms and LSD. I had half a kilo of mushrooms. And that's like, I think like 10, 20 times over the large commercial.
Yeah.
I just didn't know. It's such a victimless crime, you know?
But you know,
It's a pretty victimless crime. I'll give you that.
I mean,
It is, but like with all these drugs, there's no nuance, right? We're scared of all of them, and so they're all outlawed. And when people say, "Oh, illegal drugs are bad," it's like, well, let's break down each drug and talk about it. Because
But hang on, is there nuance though? Like if you were caught with the same amount in ice, surely you'd be going away for a lot longer.
absolutely. So
Is that
yes,
true?
when in the view of the cops, and when they're arresting you and the way they treat you, I'd say probably not so much. But when you get to the actual sentencing part, yes.
so they're harder on ice.
Of course, you'd have to
They're
be,
way
surely.
harder
Like,
on ice, heroin, cocaine, large commercial supply is treated differently, and that was part of the reason we argued why I shouldn't continue to be in jail.
Yeah.
Was we said the street value of his drugs for half a kilo is what, like fucking couple of grand, versus that in cocaine would be $1 million, right? So very easy to argue that was different, but then we tried to argue a bit about there's a perception, the severity of these drugs, but you can't. You got to get that argument right, because you have to still acknowledge the fact that regardless of their perception, it's still a crime.
Yeah,
Right? It's still illegal,
yeah,
and I still broke the law, and I just didn't give a fuck.
yes.
I think like the only thing that can work for your favor is like judge can use some discretion. So because if it's on the list of a scheduled drug and you're caught with whatever the legislation is, this amount of quantity, you're screwed to an extent.
Right.
You can't really say this drug is, not that bad. It's like, well, the parliament has decided that this is on the list, so I can't really do anything. What they can do is like, if it's a meth or like cocaine or some serious thing, the discretion, like you would have gotten some more.
So, but they always say, everyone in jail says there's no truth in sentencing, right? You could have a judge that sent me home that day, or I could have had one that sent me to prison for 4 years. Really depends on the judge and their view on drugs and their mood on the day.
Yes.
He knows about that.
But now here's my question. What was your view of the judge? Do you think he was tough but fair? Do you think he was too much of a hard ass? What do you reckon?
What was his name? Was it Riri?
My lawyer and barrister both thought that he was a good judge for me. They knew that in advance. They're like, he's a good judge for you. He's a reasonable man. And so then with the questions he was asking me on the stand, it also seemed like he liked me as well. Like he really, it seemed like he found it was very intriguing that I started doing stand-up after prison. He liked that I was rehabilitating myself through stand-up. He even said something like...
Wait, this wasn't like the sentencing judge then?
This is the sentencing judge. Yeah.
But you'd already done...
So I did 4 months in remand.
Okay.
Unsentenced. And then I got bail eventually.
Yeah.
And then I was under house arrest for 9 months. And during that time, I started doing stand-up.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
And so
how do you do stand up while you're in house arrest?
So I was only allowed out of the house if I was in the company of my parents. So my mum used to come to open mics with me.
Dude, that is honest.
It's worse than prison, man. That's so much more embarrassing.
That's worse than
I think you did all right.
So
It's not worse than prison, bro. Oh, fuck.
hey, prison, ever go to an open mic with your mum?
It'd be worse than prison than for him.
Dude, not everyone has the relationship you share with your mom.
Okay, all right. How was your mum then? How was your mum at open mic?
She was fine. I think she thought she was funnier than half the open micers. She
probably was,
Have a go. Yeah.
She was heckling.
No, she wasn't heckling. She was just telling me. She was like, he wasn't very funny, was he?
That's mad. So she was actually G'ing you up.
Yeah,
Just being like, you got this, Andrew.
Yeah, she thought she was on Kill Tony. Just, you suck. You get a small.
I think she could see that I really wanted to do it, and I was good at it pretty much straight away. And so I think that she was like, okay, this is a positive outlet. And I think she was just happy I was doing anything other than dealing drugs. So, you know,
So
so
when you were under house arrest, you started doing stand-up, and what was like the impetus for doing that? Were you just like, fuck it? Like, I think I saw on an interview you said it's something you thought you wanted to do when you were younger, and then you're like, fuck it. Like, if I don't do it, then I'll never know or something?
Well, yeah, I did want to do it when I was younger. I used to go to comedy gigs in Sydney, and I'd sit in the audience and I'd write down joke ideas, but then I never looked up like where to go to do any gigs. And so I guess it was just like one of those things that you dream about doing, but never actually make any forward movement towards making it happen. But then when I was in jail, I felt like my life was over. And I was like, okay, if you could start again, what would you do? And the only answer in my head was stand up. It was the only thing.
That's
and
crazy.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. It was just that. And so I was like, okay, well, if it's that easy, let's just start writing jokes. So
you were always the funny kid growing up?
I guess so, yeah. I was always a prankster and tried to be the class clown. And so, yeah, as soon as I was in jail, I guess I'd never really thought about what I would talk about before, but when I was in jail, I was like, I had so many jokes from like my arrest and from like my life in drug dealing, they just started to flow, and so I just wrote and tested them on my cellmates, and then
No, see, this is always a theory that Arlie and I have always
good.
said, which is that, like, Judy, if you have a middle class upbringing, for God's sakes, don't talk about it. Find something else. Talk about an interest or a hobby or something. It's boring. It's lame. If you are going to do autobiographical things, you have to either be obscenely Mr. Burns wealthy or a drug dealer, or you have to come from housing commission flats, or because that's where the funny stories are going to be.
Yeah.
You know, and so you just had a treasure trove of them. So
Yep.
it must have just come like that, just
It
like a
was
tap.
just never ending. And
Never
so
ending, yeah, exactly.
Now I've done 2 hours, one about prison and one about me like being just drugs, and so now I'm like, well, I don't know what else I'm going to talk about because
And that's the end. Yeah.
Nah, you can pivot.
yeah, now it's going to be the middle class upbringing. It's going to be the 3rd hour. And everyone's going, wow, he really dropped off.
Nah, what you need to do is start the enterprise again. Start the enterprise.
Start again, yeah.
Look, I've got a few questions about jail. Some of them they've explicitly told me not to ask, but I will.
You can ask anything, man.
Are you sure? Okay, well, I'll get a warm up to that. But so you go to the first jail once you've been sentenced. What
What did you get sentenced?
So I didn't
Like,
I didn't get sentenced to jail. That's when I first got arrested, right? They raided my house. They sent me to Surrey Hills Police Station. And at that stage, I was so arrogant, I thought I was going to get, like, my lawyer would get me bail the next day. I'd be back to selling drugs the next day, right? That's what I thought. And then I went to court and I got bail refused. And it was like, oh, you're on the way to prison. And the next thing you know, you're in a truck and I was straight in, the next day I was in Parklea Prison.
Shit.
And so you don't really have much time to process that. I was coming down from like a 4-day cocaine bender, and then
That's a bad come down.
And then you put in a cell for 2 weeks for because it was COVID quarantine. So I was stuck in a cell for 2 weeks.
Well, like isolation, so you weren't even. Oh,
I had a cellmate, but you had to shit in front of each other, and I had no TV or books for the first 2 weeks, so you're just stuck in your own thoughts. And so I just tried to sleep as much as possible because I didn't want to be awake because all I could think about was how fucked I was.
Oh my
and
God.
so that was not good. And then
are you going through withdrawals? Are you?
I think after I slept it off after about 3 or 4 days, I was generally fine.
How was your cellmate?
I had a couple of different ones that were fine, but they went when you're that close quarters with anyone, you're gonna have a few issues. So some of them had one of them had a bit of a temper tantrum about a couple of things, and I got close to wanting to bash him, but I just kind of talked him down. He tried to have an argument with a guy who brought out food, and I was like, if you interfere with my food, we're gonna have problems because that's all I got.
Yeah, fair.
Wait, were you scared of him to some extent?
No, I wasn't
when
scared
you're
of
threatening
him.
him like that.
No, I wasn't scared of him. No, he was
Like
he
he's a
was
skinny
like a
little
weedy-
junkie
he
or
was a weedy
something.
little dude, but
Yeah.
yeah, I certainly did have much bigger cellmates at times, but I generally got along with most of them. The only guy I had some issues with really was a guy who was like 4 times my size, but he was obsessed with watching Home and Away every night, and
Would annoy them.
Holy shit.
and he wouldn't let. Yeah, he like wanted to control the TV most of the time, and he was like a really OCD clean freak, and so like that was it. That was it. I was like,
That is the true prison, having to watch Home and Away every
A lot of
night.
guys in jail are obsessed with watching Home and Away. It's a huge
so
thing.
weird.
Yeah, I think they just.
No, it makes sense. Look, now that was the thing I was thinking because Mislav went through the same thing with Neighbours. There's just a point where like it's just too close to The Simpsons. You start watching a little bit, you're like, yeah. And then after a while, you're just like, is Luke really going to propose? Like you just start getting to that point, and you just have to keep going, and it consumes your life. It really is.
I think
it's the most addictive drug of all.
It's something about the consistency of it. It's something to talk about in the yard. It's reliable. It's on every week. That they just like it.
Yeah, exactly. So did you get to that stage, or were you just like
absolutely not? I couldn't get around it. No. But you know, I was only in jail for 4 months. Maybe if I was in there in like year 3, I'd finally be like, okay, tell me about Summer Bay.
Yeah.
All right. That's the most shocking thing ever. I never thought that prison yards they're talking about home and away.
Yeah,
me neither. Eh?
It's insane. That's really cool. Okay, so what about the race segregation? Is that a thing or is that a myth?
So I never saw that so much. I've heard from plenty of guys that all the races will mix until a fight breaks out, and then it'll be like all divided into races for a fight.
So is this maximum security prison you're in?
I was in maximum security.
Shit.
For shrooms.
There were guys in there.
You can't be in there. Like, you just like a peaceful hippie.
There were guys in my yard who were in there for like a double homicide. Then there'd be a guy who's in there for driving while disqualified.
What?
And I'm like, what are you in here for? And he'd be like, oh, it's my 11th time. And I'd be like,
Okay,
that could have been
so
me.
you did commit a double homicide. Huh?
I could have been me. See, look at that. That's me on the wall there. I got arrested in Wollongong for driving without.
Yeah, look. It's the hard cunt lounge right here. Look at them with their tats. You know?
Real recognises real.
Hell yeah. Hey, North Shore boys.
Well, was a Gordon freedom fighter still alive and strong?
So that's crazy that there's that.
Did someone come up to you just being like, hey, if shit breaks out, you've got to be on this side?
No one explains like, hey man, this is how prison works. Like, no one explains the rules.
I would appreciate a debriefing if I was.
Yeah, me too. I'd like that. That'd be great, but it doesn't happen.
It's not. No, everything in there is so confusing about how the phones work, about how you get your groceries, about what you do with your laundry, and like, God. So it's only like through like fucking it up the first time and then asking one guy who pities you who will give you a chance and explain it to you. But like every single thing is painful to figure out. Wow. And so, with the fights, I didn't really see any like full on fights. It was usually like some Lebanese guy would go into his cell, followed by like 2 Aboriginal guys, and then come out, and then like a minute, 30 seconds later, there'd just be a pool of blood or something like that. And
really,
just like just get pumped real quick, and then like,
and you'd never know why.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they know why, but no, it wasn't like, you don't want to be looking like, you go up to the Aboriginal, like, so what was that about? Like,
yeah, exactly, yeah. What happened in there?
You just learn to not ask.
What's all this tomato sauce?
Yeah. Why'd you have to amputate your hand? You seem like a nice guy.
So you learn to not ask questions pretty quickly.
Really?
Yeah, you don't want to be nosy.
You don't want to be nosy.
You don't get a good reputation for like
you would
wanting
be
to be nosy.
fucked in prison.
Totally. Absolutely fucked. Absolutely
He'd ask
fucked.
one fucking
I'm
question.
too pretty for jail.
One question and just boom.
Yeah, straight in the face, easily.
Okay, so now I'll ask the question that I've been asked not to ask. Is that a requirement?
What?
What the hell are you talking about? He's too scared to ask it. How prevalent is prison rape? That's what he's asking.
Here we go. Everyone wants to ask the rape.
Of course, we all want to ask it. We all want to know.
That's
basically what we're asking is how many times were you raped in jail? That's
not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is like
such a basic bitch question.
I know, dude, but like that is my greatest fear. Otherwise, I don't mind prison.
What are you talking about? You don't mind prison,
dude. As long as I'm not getting butt fucked, I don't think.
No, but he's got the same thing. It's just like when you're a homebody, it's just like a nice thought, just being like 3 meals a day.
Aussie inmates are extremely homophobic, right? They're homophobic. So some guy was raping guys in the main yard. That guy would get bashed for being gay.
Oh, really? So it was an ecosystem that sustained itself, and so actually it was quite like crime-free, ironically.
Yeah, well, at least the rape stuff for sure, but like
lots of murder though.
If guys are racking up like drug debts or gambling debts or just like talking shit, or if you accuse someone of being a dog, it's like a police informant, and then you got to back that up with evidence, and if not, then like someone's going to get bashed.
Wait a second, hang on. Just go through the etiquette of dogs. What happens there?
Okay, so like if you put the dog on someone, you call them an informant, then you'd either have to sort it out. They'd have to sort it out themselves with the guy they're accusing it, or so they have some kind of fight, or you would produce some kind of paperwork where it would be like a charge sheet or like some kind of legal document that shows that they were an informant.
Shit.
State within a state.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So
it's a very serious accusation.
Absolutely, yeah. Be like, oh, mate, if that's what you're saying about him, then produce some paperwork. And then he'd be like, oh, it's in my cell. I'm like, okay, well, we're going out tomorrow. And the next day he'd be like, oh, I forgot. I'm like, okay, well, you can't just call someone a fucking dog.
Right,
then, You know,
Like Golden Les Paul all over again.
Wait, so what happens if you accuse someone of being a dog when they're not a dog? Do you get bashed, or is that just like there's no crime? Punishment for that?
Those guys would have to fight it out because you've disgraced his honor.
Disgraced his honor.
Yeah. So then
After Alexander Hamilton.
They'd have a one-on-one.
Yes.
Yeah, Alexander Hamilton, right?
Yes,
So pistols at dawn, that kind of. I saw that happen to a guy in my yard at Long Bay. Got accused of being a dog by a guy in the yard one over. And so they were at the fence arguing, and then there was no paperwork produced. And so they had some kind of senior statesman from Mount Druitt came to the fence and said, all right, we're going to solve it like we do in Mount Druitt. So this Saturday, you'll go have a family visit, and when you come back, instead of going to your yard, you'll stand in front of our yard, you'll get let in, and then we'll have you guys both in the bathroom and fight it out. And so we knew about a week in advance that this thing was happening. And then on the Saturday, I was just playing cards in the yard, sitting there, and then like it felt like the start of a scene out of a western. You know, like it felt like there was going to be like tumbleweeds, tumbleweeds rolling by. As soon as so everyone was loud, and then as soon as this guy walked into the yard, the whole yard went dead quiet, right? Because like everyone's like trying to keep playing along, but they're all like, and it was so
just so
good.
your cards like.
And it was so interesting how how perfectly the Curry boys had all gone up to the toilet block during the day and tied up towels around the block to block it out, so it was invisible. Like there was no cameras that could see in there. But they done it like every like half an hour or an hour, so that like it wasn't like that they were planning to do that. It would just happened that it was all blocked out by the end of 2 hours. And so then these two guys met in the toilet block, and we heard them kind of yelling at each other for a bit. And it was like 3 or 4 guys standing at one side of the toilet block where there was still a bit of exposed metal. So they were like the ringside guys that like had paid for really good seats.
Right, yeah.
You know? And these 2 guys just went in there, and then you could just hear bang, yelling, shouting, punching, and then like dong dong boom boom, and then like they're in there for maybe 40 seconds.
Yeah.
Until they just both came out looking like still fine, I guess.
So they just had it out.
They punched each other a bunch of times and shoved each other, but I didn't look like it was much of a fight. I think.
All right. So everyone was very disappointed by the main event.
Yeah. It's been built up for a week.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of advertising. Tonight, this Saturday.
And then the guy, whatever his name was, got called out over the PA system. So I think the guards probably either knew the whole thing was happening, or they figured out as soon as he walked out of there that he was in the wrong yard. And these guys just shook hands, and he was like, sorry for calling you a dog. And that was it.
That's pretty good, actually. It's not too bad.
Yeah, it was quite honourable. I thought the whole thing was great.
It's not too bad at all.
And like prison seems wholesome.
Yeah, it was quite, and this older crew bloke would be like, don't worry, when you come into our yard, it's not going. No one else is going to touch you. It's just going to be between the two of you. This is how we do it, settle things in Mount Druitt. And I was like, I kind of want to go to Mount Druitt. It sounds
You don't want to go to Mount Druitt. I can tell you that much. I spent a lot of time in Mount Druitt, and I'm very happy I'm not there right now.
Fuck.
Yeah,
That's
but
wild, man.
So if that's the case, the guys that you hung out with were sort of like the big wigs of these drug cartel operations. Do you think that you learned? Do you think that you got an MBA talking to these people?
Oh, if I wanted to get back into drug dealing now, I could have a much bigger business very quickly. Yeah.
Don't incriminate yourself. Don't incriminate. This is going to be on the internet.
He said if.
Yeah. I'm just covering you here. I'm just covering you.
No, you don't need to. I would have a much, much bigger drug empire if I decided to, but I won't because I really enjoy what I'm doing now. But yeah, for a lot of guys, it absolutely is. It's networking. It's university for crims.
Right.
And I don't think that there's much in there that makes you... The punishment of prison doesn't really make you want to stop doing crime, I don't think. Like, it wasn't...
What? What do you mean?
Me going to prison didn't make me want to stop, like, doing crime. If it wasn't for the fact that I have friends and family who had heard, like, if I had no... if all my family was dead, I would be back in drugs right now. You know, it was only because I realized the impact on people that love me. That I was
right. Christmases were awkward, and
I was like, I got to do something else, you know.
Yes,
but
yes.
for a lot of guys, you know, that grow up in crime, it's just like sometimes they get locked up for a couple of years, and I'm like, okay, you wear that and get back into it when you get out. It's not like there's no bit of like, oh fuck, I really need to turn things. I need to stop doing crime.
Plus, when they leave,
yes.
I assume, right, when you leave prison, for a lot of people, it's not like you're not welcome into society with open arms. People aren't just like, oh mate, here's your job, and it's like, it's hard, right? I would imagine it wouldn't be an easy to get a job, and people are very they judge
Totally.
that.
A lot of those guys that come out, the only people that want to associate or identify with them are guys that they did time with, right?
Yeah.
And so then it's so easy when they're like, oh, do us a favor.
Exactly.
Then there's also like so many Aboriginal men in prison who have more power and respect in jail and like more relatives in jail than they do on the outside, right? So it's like, what the fuck? Why the fuck would you care? Like, what's the problem with them going to jail if they feel like for them it's just like a family reunion?
Jesus, that's heavy.
It's fucked. So then, like, what's the incentive for them to do anything else?
Yes. Okay. So basically, when you were in jail, you didn't enjoy the experience at all. Is that what I'm getting at?
No, I had a great time.
You had a great time in jail.
Yeah, once I got
That
past,
was just another Bathurst for you.
I exercised. I got sun. I played ping pong and chess, and
You played chess.
I was very popular with the Chinese inmates who really liked to play chess. They called me uncle, and we played it. I was pretty good at it.
What were they in there for?
I mean, you know,
Food poisoning.
a lot of them really couldn't speak English much, so I didn't really ask them. But I guess I was imagining financial crimes, fraud, financial crimes. I was guessing.
Yes. Okay. Yep.
So, yeah, but I had a pretty good time. I just read and wrote jokes and exercised and just it wasn't that bad for me.
Damn, you and Nelson Mandela both really game prison.
You know, it's funny you said it because when I was on the phone to my mum one time in the yard talking about my case, I was like, my mum, I'm basically like Nelson Mandela. I'm a political prisoner. It's just because we haven't updated our drug laws.
I'm a political
Damn straight. I hope your mum was just like too right.
No, she called me a fuckhead.
Fair call.
Could you imagine what a bad mum it would be to just be like, yes, you are like Nelson Mandela, you know? Like
So you were in for 4 months altogether?
Yeah. 4 months, then bail, bail, house arrest, 9 months. Then I got sentenced in July.
Well, how was house arrest? That must have been awesome.
It was pretty boring when it was just me and my parents, and
Fuck.
Then I started dating a girl who came over to the house, and so we'd like root in the basement, which was like that was better.
While your mum were asleep, and, it's just being 19 again.
I've heard some ex-convicts say that house arrest is worse than being in prison because you're in like your familiar environment, but you can't go out, so you feel it a lot more.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could just watch. I watch movies. I got to eat better food, and I was having sex. You know.
That's
with a chick, so that was all.
Hey, so there is some of that.
So that was all good. I can't really say that house arrest was too bad. And then once the rules got relaxed and I started doing comedy, then it was fine, right? Yeah. But
was comedy actually considered community service?
No, that's just one of my stupid jokes.
Thought it was true.
I wish. No, I had to feed the homeless. That was
well,
community service.
That's just as dumb as the getting locked up for shrooms thing. It is a community service. It should be.
Yeah, unfortunately, I tried that argument.
Yeah.
So,
but the judge liked it anyway. He was like,
judge liked that I was doing comedy, and he agreed that he liked that I had a full-time job and that I was. He thought that me having ADHD somehow lessened my crimes.
Respect.
What else?
Was the judge like, it's not this friendly Geordie style comedy? And you're like, no, it's not.
Terrible young man.
It's like, as long as it's not like that, you're all right.
Yeah, dude.
Well,
that's the opposite experience. Judges hate this guy.
He had a whole.
Thinks he's a comedian.
You know about his whole thing? that you went through?
With
Barillaro.
with Braz.
So, with Braz, so you're familiar.
Yeah.
Not a good experience with a judge, right? I would say.
No, but here's the other thing. I'm not allowed to talk about my experience with my judge at all. Otherwise, I will end up in prison. So I'm not allowed to talk about it.
Let's go, dude.
So I can't go.
Come on, dude.
But like,
That's such a good
yeah,
threat.
come on. All right.
What are you, a pussy?
That's such a good threat.
Imagine you in the yard. They're like, what are you waiting for? He's like,
It'd be
murder.
amazing. Just me in
driving while
3 months.
disqualified.
Don't call me a fucking dog.
What are you in for? I said something about a judge on a podcast.
That guy's hard. That guy's hard. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, where do I get my Aryan tat? Come on.
That's very funny that you can't. Yeah. Well,
The judge thought that he was racist. Because I can say it. I'm not going to prison. Because he used the word "wog" in his video.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Which is crazy.
God, I'm not allowed to say anything about it, but yes.
He
I'm
can't.
gonna-
Come on.
I can't say. He can.
Let's
He can
push
say.
the ante, shall we? He's scared. I mean, no, we don't have to dwell on that, but it's just he definitely didn't have a good time with his judge. So it's funny. It's like roles reversed, I guess.
Well, I'm glad the judge didn't ask to see any of my material because it was mostly about like me joking about being a drug dealer.
Yeah,
And I was like, he probably wouldn't love.
Oh, true.
You know? He might think I was.
Yeah, he's expecting more like.
I was taking the piss out of my own crimes.
Yeah,
but
yes.
The judge that you dealt with was a judge that handles criminal matters. So for him, you were probably like, what are you doing here? You see, he deals with insane people on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Whereas Jordan's judge was like a private, is like suing stuff. So they deal with like corporations.
Yeah, it's a
all the
different.
time.
It's a whole different
experience
ecosystem. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, but if I was a judge and you can't, I'd be like thrilled. Like, yeah, this is one of the success stories. He can actually come back.
He's really run away.
So I got sentenced in July 2022 to something called a intensive corrections order.
Okay.
So it means like I'm doing a prison sentence in the community right now.
Well, like right now.
Right now.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That's some crazy shit.
So
Wait, how does that affect your life?
So I have to get permission from the New South Wales Department of Community Corrections to leave New South Wales.
Oh wow.
And
Are you doing a tour?
Yeah.
So you got permission?
Yeah, they love me doing comedy. They're fans.
Oh, I mean, I think it's awesome. I it's cool that they think it's cool because I feel like, potentially somewhere like America, the law enforcement would be like, we do not like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like it's a very Aussie thing that even the cops would be like, that's pretty good.
I think I do have a lot of cops and prison officers come to my shows because I think they find the humor relatable, right? I'm talking about their world.
Yeah.
So
they'd love it. Even your jokes about the stuff that you think they might not like, the judge would be amused by it.
Yeah.
It's a setting of comedy.
Yeah. And exactly.
A lot of my corporate gigs so far have been
You've done corporate gigs?
I did one for the New South Wales Legal Aid, and I'm doing one for the for Justice Health, which is the health system within prisons.
Cool.
And I've done a gig for the New South Wales Drug Court. So yeah, all the public servants love me and keep getting me to do gigs.
I'm just getting like this flash image to the last episode of Seinfeld where like Jerry's in prison doing a set. Like that's awesome, man. That's really cool.
But yeah, those guys have to give me permission to leave New South Wales, but my corrections officer consider me so low risk. All the other things they could ask me to do, like do drug testing or report in like regularly, they suspended that as soon as I got sentenced because they're more worried about meth heads and.
No, yeah, definitely. That's crazy, man. What a crazy.
Did you have
ride.
to do any like courses, like how to write your resume and stuff?
In jail or
No, after
you do
jail.
laundry, those things.
No, I mean no. I had this lengthy background in working in PR, so I think they were like, I think you can get a job.
No, dude, I'm not. But like, you could be the CEO, and if they deem that you require those courses for whatever reason, because I haven't looked at your case properly, you might have been an ex-CEO at a course learning how to write your resume and hating every minute.
Really?
Of it. Yeah, it happens.
Well,
shit.
No, they didn't send me to any of that kind of stuff.
Well, seeing as we are on a podcast, it would be remiss of us to ask, do you think that shrooms change your perception on things?
Yeah. Finally, the big questions.
I took shrooms. Next thing I know, I'm in prison. It was insane.
Boys, I do
Would it be
miss.
amazing if this was all just a trip? Like he didn't actually do any of it.
Can you see? Do the cameras pick up your background wall?
Oh no, they're well aware. Yeah,
there we go. Yeah.
So this is just shrooms.
Before we started recording, I said I would just happily eat mushrooms and stare at those for hours.
Yeah, definitely.
I do miss mushrooms a little bit. I was at a gig last night and I do have people go like, oh, so this is probably in poor taste, but do you know where I can get mushrooms? And so it breaks my heart.
Oh my god,
That's hilarious. Fuck. That's so funny.
It's funny because like just before you walked in, Miss Love had similar inquiries.
About for me?
I'm all right.
Let's talk.
Just inquiries about life.
Let's talk off pod.
Yeah. No. I'm spoken for. I think I'm all good. But like, it's a.
I think our perception of psychedelics there's more and more research going into it. I think that they're getting more and more accepted as not being this bad thing that we were told.
Yeah.
I think that there is more research into them being medicine. Obviously, they've been legalized in Australia for medicinal use. I don't know how many people actually get.
Is that right?
Can get access. Yeah,
shrooms.
Mushrooms and MDMA have now been legalized in
Wow.
Australia for medicinal use. It's
did
still
not-
illegal, right?
Yeah.
But there are some doctors that can prescribe it.
Okay.
Now, how many of them are actually around and how many of them are actually handing out prescriptions, I don't know, but it's apparently legalized.
Yeah.
So I think that's an exciting step in the right direction. So, yeah, we'll see where we go from here. But one day in the future, I do hope to get some kind of sick brand deal with some kind of psychedelic company.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be very. I mean, it's a perfect fit. It's a perfect fit.
It's inevitable that it'll become.
Do you think it's
legal.
inevitable?
Yeah, I mean, like weed's legal in America now. You know, it's like these things. They take time, but like we were saying, mushrooms. I mean, any drug can be abused, but mushrooms and like these sort of psychedelic. It's not methamphetamine. It's not cocaine. It's not speed.
I could sit in my house with a mountain of drugs. The only one that fucked me was cocaine. I never was just wanting to have mushrooms day after day after day after day after day.
No, you can't.
Really? Now, what does this mean? I've always wondered this because my hippie parents, they once had a friend that just said like, we used to take mushrooms every day and we hated it after a while. And I was like, why? And then she just said, I was just sick of everything being blue, tasting blue, seeming. What the fuck does that mean? This has been ratcheting in my mind for 15 years.
I mean,
Well, is it the
colours?
perfect guy to ask?
That's true, I guess.
Colours certainly are accentuated. I don't know if I've ever thought that blue was heavily in my eye more than any other colour.
Okay. Was there something that, like, after a while, when you did it for too long, like, kind of there was some sort of, like, filter on your consciousness or something that you're just like, just stick with this. I'm tired of this.
Not really. It felt like they got to a point where there was a law of diminishing returns where you'd have more mushrooms to have a similar high.
Right.
If you were having too many of them regularly. So I would try. By the end, I try and space it out. I only have mushrooms every couple of months. But,
Yes.
if you're having it like 2 or 3 days in a row, by the third day, they're going to do fuck all.
Okay.
Right.
Also, Jordan, I know you've been wrestling with this question for 15 years, but have you considered that your mom didn't mean the color blue and she meant feeling blue?
Yes, I've considered that a lot. But actually, a lot. Trust me, I've had 15 years to think about this, Ali. I've covered the grounds. I've covered it. I've done that before. I've thought about this.
Shit.
Everything's blue.
Dude, you're only thinking of it because of the fucking Eiffel 65 song. That's it.
I don't know what that is, but it's been a
So
wild
maybe
15
I'm blue,
years.
blah, blah,
Maybe
blah,
she
blah,
was
blah.
sad that she was spending all this money on mushrooms and they weren't doing much. So yeah, she was just.
Yeah.
Do you think that when you were in prison, though, the fact that you were taking shrooms for a long time kind of changed your perception of it when you were sitting in there just like, just play some chess and like...
I
It was a
don't
bit
think,
different like
that
that.
was to do with the mushrooms. I think by the end, when I sobered up off drugs, prison was like rehab for me because I was such an addict for gambling and for...
Oh, shit, gambling.
Yeah, I was a huge pokey addict.
Pokies, really?
Yeah. I was doing like 10 grand a week in the fucking...
Fuck.
That's
That's
all the
hectic,
fucking
dude.
pokies in Surrey Hills that would give me like unlimited free drinks and cigarettes,
Pies
like
and
packs
shit.
of cigarettes, just to get me to sit there and fucking punt.
Worth it?
Surely.
This guy, he has serious potential to be like.
he's got
Totally.
he's got some potential.
Everything. I've got potential for everything, trust me.
slaps. He doesn't do this. He doesn't chuck on the slaps, but he fucking.
Dude, he can. I've been in a situation where we were
Pokies?
touring somewhere, pokies.
Okay.
To me, pokies, I never understood what the excitement is. For me, it's very boring.
Yeah.
Anyways, but like he doesn't think so. At one point,
No. I think pokies are boring.
At one point, like an hour into it, I was like, Jordan, I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. And he says, I'll keep giving you money if you play with me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't want to do that.
All right, that did happen, yeah.
that did
But
happen.
like
There's
most of the time,
times
like I want to watch the races, you know. I want to see the dogs.
Yeah.
The
See,
trust.
that's more fun and more social. I think upon reflection now that I've been out of it for a few years, I think it was just like my life was such a mess and like I didn't like myself. And so for me, it was just like, it was an escape, right? It was just like the drug rush of being high on cocaine and just slapping and just being able to just not think about my own problems was so good.
I think in Sydney that what you just described is insanely common. People just on the bag slapping cash in the fucking... It's so
just
common.
to get out of my own hell. But now that I have a life that I enjoy living, I don't think about pokies at all. And I can walk past them and I don't think about them, which is great. But it just took me a long time to figure out that because, I was a slave to them for over a decade.
Yeah.
And they're fucked.
Jesus, that's so...
Coke, however, you're still on, you know. Like, was Coke harder? Surely Coke was harder to drop than the pokies.
They were both. I mean, luckily for me, the rehab worked for both of them, right? I did jail for 4 months, and that broke my kind of dependence on both. Because there was a time where I couldn't have 2 beers without having to have cocaine. Like, it was just like beers linked with cocaine, bang. But now I can get pissed and don't even think about it. But 4 months seemed to be long enough for me.
Wow, so prison really was the best thing that ever happened to you,
Saved my
other
life.
than Bathurst University.
Saved my life.
Yeah,
Holy
that's
shit,
incredible. Like, it
really?
really did.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
crazy.
I've got another aspect that we need to explore. So I have a cousin whose identity shall not be revealed.
Just flash his card up.
He
Come
dealt caps for 2 to 3 years of his life, right? Now, the one thing that I noticed while he was a dealer was that he was getting an unbelievable amount of women. Just everywhere.
on. This is such ethnic questions, eh?
Now, maybe that's because he was dealing caps and he was amongst the party crowd. Do mushroom dealers get a lot of women?
I guess so. It was just because like chicks were just like a guy that pays for everything, right? So,
I mean, who doesn't want that?
So I think I had enough money that I could pay for my girlfriends to get whatever they wanted and go out for nice dinners and so
that's what because these girls that I'm talking about, they were just in it for the cabs. They wanted the drugs.
yeah. Well,
It's not the caps though. What did they want?
No, straight
Ecstasy.
Well, that's whatever he was
MDMA,
dealing.
yeah.
I don't know what the actual thing is.
You certainly do get a good bullshit detector from like whenever hot chicks would come over to the house to buy drugs, that they'd be very flirty because they wanted a discount or free drugs, and so you immediately just shut that down.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you just like, I know what's happening, but you still get 30% off. Like,
No way. I never crumbled.
Never crumbled?
No. Full price. Fuck you. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to do it. It's business.
No. Yeah.
His
miss.
ethics.
Look at him.
What?
He just laid back in that position.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're saying,
You know all about it?
I'm just saying, it's business.
I think crime would be the only thing you'd be diligent at.
Stop it.
You got to do it. It's business.
No, that's true. I dabbled and was not diligent.
Yeah, he wasn't diligent. It's just like everything else. He couldn't do it. No.
It's
I
hard.
was terrible and I got ripped off hard.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that do that, or they try to get into dealing, but then they eat all their profits.
Yeah.
And that's a common thing. But it does.
The thing people don't realize is it's a job like anything else, just a scarier, riskier job. Right?
I guess so.
That's what I thought. That's how it feels.
I never thought because I did it so gradually. I never thought it was scary. Right? I never thought it was scary, and I dealt with a lot of very scary guys that I worked with in a very professional relationship. Even when I pissed away all my money and I had 20 grand owing to them, and they were giving me bags of cocaine on ounces on tick, and I'd just say, "Hey man, sorry, I had a bender, I blew it all away," and they'd be like, "Just don't do it again." And then they'd give me another 20 grand worth of coke, and I'd do it again. And then
What?
Whoa.
What do you mean? And they just didn't
No repercussions?
break your legs or anything?
no.
Why?
They liked you.
Well, I think part of it, they knew how much I was selling. They just knew if I just stopped gambling for 7 days, I could pay off the debt. And so in the scale of running the business, it was bad. It was bad business for them to do that. But then One of the guys, his best mate was like a huge ice head as well.
Are you saying you were too big to fail, so they gave you bailouts?
Yeah, constantly.
Trump.
That's incredible.
Trump style.
Incredible.
He's a bank. He's a bank. A human bank.
That's incredible. That's sick.
But then one of the guys, his best mate was like a meth head that was constantly lying to him. So I think he just loved the like unbridled honesty. It was just like, yeah, man, you won't believe it. I fucked it again.
Yeah.
You know?
That's really funny. You can't believe it. I fucked it again. Because the thing with,
funny story.
the thing, you're right, the thing with
You know,
meth
you told
heads-
me I shouldn't gamble away all that money you gave me. The drug
meth
money.
heads lie, bro. Meth heads lie. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if you're hocking everything you own at a cash converters, you're lying. You're lying to people, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I was honest about that stuff. And so I think he felt that quite refreshing. So he'd just be like, okay, here's more. Try to get it under control. And then like the third time I'd just not like, you know, just stay in my house and sell drugs and pay him back quickly.
And he was one of these scary men, was he?
Yeah.
What do you think would have happened if you continued just doing that?
I think at some point I would have been murdered, I guess, if I kept doing it.
Yeah.
But like, I think I could have got away with at least another 3 or 4 tries before that. But
It's amazing that you're actually like quite close if you think about it. Just like I could do it at least 3 times more.
It's not a lot of times. It's not a lot.
It tells you like their profit margins must be crazy. That they can just put like 20K 3 or 4 times as bad debt on one guy that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
yeah. But he'd be making that out of me like every week, you know. So it's like if I can
Money.
just
Do you think there are some dealers that, you know, like in that movie American Gangster, except for the part where he does go to prison, like where they kind of play it under the radar and they get out early and then they have they get out completely unscathed.
Are you saying are there success stories?
Yeah.
you hear about him. I have heard of a few of guys that have flown from like LA or somewhere in the States into Australia with like a couple of kilos of coke strapped to them.
Oh, Jesus
And
Christ.
they have got a cash payout, you know, a couple of $100,000, and they've used it for a deposit of a house and have never done anything again. You know, something like that.
Yeah, you do hear that.
But that is
quite
high.
a lot.
That is very high risk. I didn't mean that.
That's not high
What are you
risk.
talking about?
That's
Yeah.
not high risk.
That's not high risk. Strapping coke to your
No,
body.
high risk is what he did. That's high,
high
risk.
risk is thinking you're never going to get caught. But it's
You can't
not.
say that's not high risk, bro.
It's a risk, but it's not high risk.
Right.
High risk is starting up a drug empire.
Yeah.
And then just at some point just being like, that's enough. Because
Right.
as he's saying, it doesn't happen.
And also like having this idea that you're gonna just become the drug kingpin. Like
I think part of it, you get I think I got addicted to dealing as well. Not just the money. I liked to be the guy
It's a
who
rush,
was the
right?
connect.
Yeah.
I liked to be. I think you get, you know, a bit. You fall in love with this fake popularity, you know, of like people constantly needing to come see you and feeling like you're important, and like you're absolutely not. But just you trick yourself in your head.
You trick yourself in your head, really? Is that what happens?
That's how I felt. That I like the ego part of it as well, not just the money.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. And so like your clientele was quite high end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
You know, from like lawyers to TV producers to professional footballers.
Holy shit.
Because that's always what I would...
Hottest 100. Like, just I had a whole bunch of celebrities come by.
Yes. That's what I always thought would be the very awkward part about being a drug dealer, which you're saying that it wasn't, is always just like those kind of people coming in and being like, hey, mate, how are you? And it's just like, we're not the same, you know? Like, I thought that'd be what
It was fun. There's been a couple of times when I had like relatively famous, Australian famous people come to the house, and like one guy came to buy mushrooms and he was trying to explain like he never does any other drugs, just mushrooms. Like that's all he's into. Just like
Was it
I'm
just
like,
the Channel 9 news report? It's like, hello.
Yeah, that'd be
I'm here to get
amazing.
like, reports
Yeah.
in, time to get loaded. Like,
but it's
That's
just
just how I've
funny.
been
Like a
sitting
famous,
down for 40 years straight.
it's funny a famous person to explain to me like as if I was judging them if they wanted to buy other drugs. Like, hey, I don't care, man. I'm selling all these drugs.
Yeah.
You just it's good on you that you only want to have mushrooms. Like he's like, oh, I never do coke, man. I wouldn't touch that stuff.
oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, sick, dude.
Yeah, it's like, whatever.
Well, it's here if you ever need it, but
Like moralizing.
They're telling themselves. They're not telling you.
yeah.
They just want to feel like a better person than they are.
Or like
That's wild.
Or I remember like a NRL player coming in to buy bags and be like, "Please don't tell anyone about this, man." Like, just like,
For fuck's sake.
that's insane.
Yeah, that'd be a great idea, wouldn't it? Go to the cops and just be like,
I was in the middle of a party at my house. So I was like, there's 30 people there, and he's just there like, "Oh man, like please don't."
You know what? You can always count the NRL, can't you? Always.
It's like my career, I can't afford this now.
Andrew, I do have to bring this up. You went from like that fake social life to now a profession where you're going to develop a fake social life again. It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
well, he's used to it.
I guess maybe my bullshit detector is pretty good from the drug dealing now that I can smell it a mile away.
Yeah. True.
So I guess we'll see, but it feels more wholesome now.
It is, but it'll give you the same vibe eventually. If you go through
Yeah.
rough patches and you'll, hopefully not, God forbid, in your career, you're going to be like, hey, where's that guy? He used to come around all the time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, you certainly get that from the prison part. Friends that you think will be there disappear, and then randoms that you never thought would be there turn out out of the woodwork. Oh, that's pretty good.
How
There you
does
go.
that
That's amazing.
happen? What is their motivation? The randoms from the woodwork who just come for the worst of times to help you.
I think they're people that were your friends, but they weren't your best mates. But then like they just, I don't know, something that drives them to be like, oh, my mate's going through a rough patch, I'm going to do him a solid. And then they just...
Good guys.
just
Just
turn up.
generally good
They
people.
just turn
No,
up.
I think
yeah.
it's their
Just
fetish
genuinely
too.
nice people.
They're good guys.
No, yeah,
'cause they're
okay,
helping
yes.
Good guys. They
No, I think they're fucked, actually.
you. A little bit.
Okay, all right.
They fetishize.
Interesting theory, Ali.
They fetishize what?
They fetishize like helping people.
I don't know about that. I think it's just like they really did value the friendship. Like, like the friendship was real.
Ali's like, no.
No, trust me, they're fakes as well, mate. They all
sick
suck.
fucks.
Everyone you know hates you. Don't worry about it.
They're sick fucks. They get horny on helping a guy when he's down on his luck.
What a fucked fetish.
You're laughing like it's not true.
They're like,
It's
they come
a
to me like, oh,
fuck fetish.
Hamilton, you're so pathetic. You're so pathetic. You need help. You're sick.
Hey, Hamilton, you want a Happy Meal? I can get you one. I'll spot you one. I'll spot you this time.
So
Fuck me. I disagree with his theory, but
I like that it's a theory, but it's. I hope that's not the right route.
And then
Have you wondered why they never came out when you weren't in trouble? Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, where were you when things were good, man? Where were you when things were great?
can you imagine your mate rocks up and then he's helping you and you're like, you're one sick puppy, aren't you? Where were you when I was doing well? Ali.
Always for the lows, never the highs.
And now I'm doing great again. They're not calling me.
And you're not calling.
There you go.
I'm telling you, it is what it is.
I mean, it could be that they just didn't need. They felt you didn't need the help when you.
Yeah.
They don't want to.
Okay.
It's not exciting for them.
Right. Okay. Well,
I did
there's all kinds of people.
I think I saw like maybe Marlon Wayans on an interview on a podcast a little while ago. It's like, I'm not the guy you call when you want to, like, you're at the party at the penthouse. I'm the guy you call when shit hits the fan, when it's all falling apart. I'm like, these people, there are people like that out there that are like,
I mean, you know what? There's people that would do it for the rush, I think, for sure, if that's what you mean. Like the rush of like...
Have you ever met that personality that's like a dick, normal day-to-day life? You can never get along with them. They just seem rude. But then something happens in your life and you're really down low and they come out to help you a lot.
It's like a rush for them.
Yeah, that's that
savior complex. What is it?
I guess so.
No, I don't think... I think it's just the adrenaline. There's people that get off on the adrenaline of like, oh, shit's hitting the fan. We're against the odds. Let's,
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
I
it could
don't
be.
know. I don't know.
It's an issue. I mean, personally, I can't speak to it because I don't have that psychology. If shit hits a fan for you, I'm not helping you.
Yeah. Shit hits the fan for me. I'm like, yeah.
Call me when things are good.
Yeah.
Fair. I
Dude,
trust
this
you
is
a lot
amazing.
more.
This is the hard cunt couch and the good times couch.
No, I feel like, dude, I'll be there if the stakes are low. I don't want to be there if someone's like, I need to hide a body. It's like, fuck.
Yeah, I'm there for low, not that low.
Yeah, if the stakes are like, we're out of chili oil. I'm like, I got you.
I'm the same. It can't be super low.
Be
That's
super
like
low.
when like people get like done sentenced for being like a sex offender, and like someone agrees to be like their character reference, and you're like, man, like that's a fucking like that's a big ass.
That's a friend.
That's a real friend.
That's a friend.
And that's a lot of responsibility too. It's like, are you still a sex offender? Because I don't want you to be. You know?
Yeah, and you got to normally say things like it's totally out of character, like like
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah. He never touched me up.
But that's not enough. He's doing comedy too. What else do you fucking? Nah, that's Hey, so did you wrote a book, right?
yeah.
When did you have time to do that?
I wrote most of it when I was under house arrest. So
I suppose that is the
I
right
wrote a
time.
book when I was
Yeah.
under house arrest about my time in drugs and prison.
Sick.
And then I was like, I don't have an ending because I haven't done anything to redeem myself in any way. And so I parked the book and then I started doing stand-up, and then I did well at comedy and got nominated at the Melbourne Comedy Festival for Best Newcomer last year. And then I had a few people approach me and be like, hey.
Congrats, by the way.
Thank you. And then people contacted me and were like, hey, you should write a book. And I was like, well, I've got this thing. And I had like 70,000 words that I'd written. And then they...
70, yeah.
Yeah, I just read a book by Stephen King about writing called On Writing, and it just said,
Yeah, On Writing's great. Everyone
Such a
loves
good
that.
book. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
great
never
book.
heard of it. What's this? You're leaving me.
I think it's
I've
Stephen
told you
King's
several
best work.
times about
I'm
it.
putting it in my phone right
Okay,
now.
all right.
Right. Anyway, sorry. I'm putting
and
it
it just
in
said write 1,000 words a day, so I did that for 70 days, and then I had 70,000 words, and so
That's epic.
So then
On
I had a few publishers have a look at that, and they made an offer, and so then I finished the book and added in the bit about doing comedy, and
Dude,
it
that's
came
sick.
out about a month ago, and yeah, it's at bookstores.
I'm getting one of those.
Yeah. Okay. So my some
Yeah.
I
Get it
had,
from a
reputable
get it
publisher.
from a normal bookstore. Don't get it from Big W. It's $22 a Big W, but
Oh my god.
yeah.
It's in big.
It's
Yeah.
in- it's
No,
in
no,
every
fuck
big-
that. Support the small guys is what you're saying. Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say go to Dimmicks or something. Like that.
Yeah, for sure.
or just torrent it. You know, whatever. You
Torrent it.
There is an audiobook which I recorded my own voice as well, but
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
so the book's out. I think people are liking it. So
That's huge.
you never really know. I haven't been told anything about if it's selling well. So I guess
Well, we're gonna include
Who
the link
cares,
to
bro?
your
If
book
your
as
team
well
is
as
doing it,
for those of you watching. We're gonna include Andrew's website for ticket sales.
sure.
Yeah, is that so? So make sure that you check that out and buy tickets whenever Andrew's near your city.
Awesome.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah, that's rad. Well, what the fuck's the time? How long
Yeah,
have we been
we're-
going? That flew by. Have we got
An hour and a half. We're in.
I mean, yeah, that basically takes us that's up to date, you know?
Yeah.
Right?
So I mean, now I've just been touring. The book helped me to live off the book money to then try and make a career out of comedy, which I just did my first ever national tour, and that sold really well. So yeah, now we'll see where it goes from here. But I'm enjoying the ride, and I love doing stand up, and it's pretty cool to just be. I've only been doing comedy for 2.5 years, and to be able to go to random towns and people turn
So
up
rad.
is very cool and humbling and.
At
So-
what point do you have to like not ask the government and you can just fly overseas to do shows or what?
So I'll be allowed out of Australia from mid-December this year, but then the next question is who's going to let me in, right? So I think it's going to be quite a process to get me into the US, but we're working on that, and then
They'll
I'd love
accept
to,
you, bro. As soon as it's like he's in show business, they'll let
Yeah,
shit
there
goes
are
out the
some
window.
loopholes around that. If you
Yeah, yeah.
explain that I work in with troubled youth and these kind of things, and like there's a comeback story.
Yeah,
narrative.
exactly.
So we'll see what happens, but I'd love to do UK and US next year.
Yeah, it's
Hectic.
sounds exciting.
So follow him on all the socials and shit, right? That's what socials
That cover.
will be
And
down on the link.
and-
He'd
All right,
say.
at least we got it.
Oh,
Check
and I
out
should-
his LinkedIn with his fake degrees.
Hit him up. Hit his LinkedIn. Hit up his LinkedIn, bro. Yeah, his fake degrees. That's not going to go well in the US.
I got to check if that's still there.
Wow, he's a vet scientist too.
Oh shit!
I should also plug. I have a podcast to do with two other comedians from Sydney called Flog Cabin, where we just talk about wanking essentially for an hour a week.
Is that with Alec?
No, that's not. That's a fake podcast.
Oh, that's a fake one. Yeah.
This is one with Daniel Muggleton and Tom Wickham. But
we can't plug that. Dude.
That's fair enough.
That's
Why?
competition. We talk about wanking all the time as well.
That's I thought it might be a bit too cheeky, but I thought I'd try it anyway.
Andrew, thank you so much for coming to the podcast.
My pleasure, man.
Yeah, thanks for
Great
coming,
time.
man. That was right. That was very fucking interesting. That was a crazy.
You have an interesting life.
story, man.
Yeah, it's been a roller. I'm glad that the harder parts are out of the way now. I'm really enjoying what I'm doing now. But yeah, it was just for so long. I was such a fucking slave to pokies and drugs, and it was fucking shit. Really, I mean, the money was good, but I was just like I was fat and depressed, and yeah,
Not good. Yeah,
Everyone always says that.
it wouldn't. Yeah, it'd be hard.
It's
I
always
think it'd be hard.
What?
That lifestyle would be hard. Everyone reckons it's glamorous. It's like, bro, it would be fucking hard.
yeah.
You know.
It's just like you said, it's just a job with higher risk.
Yeah, that's what it is, man. It's just a job.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We'll see you another time.
Cheers for coming on, man.
My pleasure, boys.